What is up, everybody? Today we are starting an exciting series, one that I'm like most excited about, to be honest, since the inception of this channel, which is highlighting the international collectors around the world. And for our very first episode, we have Helge from Germany, who we have built relationship over the past few months. I'm really happy to meet him, but I'm also very excited to have him on the show. Welcome, Helge.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Hannah. It's a pleasure to be here. So let's
Yeah,
go and see where it takes us.
yeah, and I see that you have a nice Mavericks jersey on, um, repping. I'm assuming Nowitzki there from Germany.
It is.
What is Nowitzki like in Germany? Like, is he like considered a god over there?
For basketball reasons, definitely. There's no way of passing him.
Hmm.
When you're talking basketball in Germany, it's the first player that comes to everybody's mind,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
especially after the championship with Dallas.
Yes,
And
of course. I mean,
yeah,
he's definitely a god in Dallas. So, um, all right, let's get right into it. Helga. I mean, just wanted to start off with some background of how you got started in the hobby and how you began your collecting journey, which may look quite differently than a lot of people in the United States.
yeah, definitely is. I mean, I started collecting basically 93, 94 with Upper Deck basketball. And since the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls era was in hype mode at that time,
Hmm.
so even my local, like I grew up in a city with like 500 people living there,
Wow.
and even in their grocery shop in Germany, they had packs of Upper Deck 93, 94.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. So draw me to get to the shop pretty much every day to pick up a pack or two, depending on the budget. So that was my start with collecting, and cards had a timeout in between, but never really stopped. So I'm
Yeah.
basically doing cards ongoing since 93, 94.
Wow. That's like what is that? 20
It's like
years?
30 years now,
30,
almost.
30 years? Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. So was your first introduction to card collecting from buying those packs at the shops because you were just curious what they were? Or was there like a friend who brought you in?
I'm pretty sure because they had like a German basketball TV show, and I think they might have had some commercials for those sets during that
Interesting.
show. So I'm assuming that's how it got started. Because I mean, otherwise, I've been at the shop pretty regular anyways. So I
Gotcha.
would have seen it rather sooner than later.
Hmm.
But at the time, we've been like five guys playing basketball all the time in my
Nice.
hometown. So we ended up buying all the packs that were out there anyways.
That's awesome. That's an awesome story. I guess I think you started with basketball, obviously, but I know that you collect other categories of sports cards and trading cards. What other things do you collect?
Yeah, I mean, basketball was the main focus since that was the first thing that was basically available.
Hmm.
When there have been some soccer releases early or in the mid 90s for the German Bundesliga,
Hmm.
but that weren't really spectacular, but like easy sets to complete. So I chased those since soccer, obviously being in Germany,
Yeah.
was one of the main sports, anyways. And then I was living in the DC area for 3 years.
Oh,
So, and it was like 05, 06 through
oh,
08. So Ovechkin's first 3 years in the league.
oh,
And I
nice.
spent a lot of time watching hockey. And so I picked up some hockey at that time. But yeah, I'm pretty, whatever is available with cards, I'm chasing it. So, and my main focus also is anything Olympic related.
Oh,
So I do love some Olympic sets, especially the 36 Olympics, since they've been in Germany. And there's a ton of cards for those
interesting.
Olympics out there. And not like I mean, there was a 72 Olympics in Munich in Germany as well, but there's not as much material out there.
Cards. Got you.
Since 36 with Jesse Owens is one of my PC guys. So I have some nice cards of him. But I also like Winter Olympics, so I've got a intense and pretty much one of a kind Bodie Miller collection.
Wow.
So yeah, a little bit of everything. And soccer-wise, Timo Werner is my PC guy.
That I mean, I feel like you've touched on everything except the sport that I'm curious about right now. And I see
Yeah, I
a
mean,
helmet
Formula One
behind
just
you.
came up the last couple of years. So
Hmm.
obviously, with Michael Schumacher being my goat from
Yeah.
my perspective, uh, most likely depending on my age as well, since I've seen all his races and stuff. So yeah, Formula One is big as well. But since it's only been around for 2 years, it's still a super fresh and super
Makes sense.
intense market at the moment.
Yeah, it's like a grab and go kind of space still.
Yeah,
I mean, I wonder if this is just, coincidence or not, but Germany, right? Mecca of automotive industry by far.
yeah.
Would you say that average German sort of sports fan is a fan of Schumacher and watches Formula One or any other sort of automotive, sporting events on a regular basis? Kind of like how we watch maybe baseball here.
Yeah, I mean, the time has definitely passed when, I mean, while Schumacher was driving, the TV rates have been through the roof.
Mm,
Everybody was watching him racing. Basically, when he stopped, and it kind of was like the years in between where was not much excitement
yeah,
going on. So it was a little tough. And now the problem is that Germany doesn't have a Grand Prix right now.
right, right.
So it's, yeah, they're trying to get one back since with Mick Schumacher, there's new excitement also
Hmm.
for the German market.
Hmm.
And especially with Formula One getting more and more popular worldwide,
Right.
they're trying to get back on track in Germany as well.
Yeah, I think that only makes sense to get it back there, but we'll see. We'll see what happens from here on out. Thanks
Yeah,
for sharing that.
it's hard
Um,
to compete with Las Vegas night races when you're trying to get a Grand Prix in Germany. So
I know that one. I mean, I can only imagine how crazy it's going to be, right?
it's going to be nuts.
Yeah, I thought about maybe buying a one-bedroom condo up there just for that race because it might be worth it. Who knows? But yeah, it's gonna be insane. I'm sure you'll try to be there too next year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Maybe next question, and this is just a question that I have for folks who are not sort of in North America who have access into all the different types of cards that we have here. What is your main ways that you use to buy, sell, and trade your cards?
Obviously, anything social media picked
Mm,
up the last probably 3 to 5 years like crazy. So a lot of deals happening on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, WhatsApp, and eBay, of course, is still a major source as well.
mm-hmm,
And then I know, like, I've been to the US so many times by now and met so many people that it's very easy to connect worldwide. And I mean, I just came back from Poland 2 days ago to pick up a card for a US collector from a Polish
what?
company.
You're living the
So,
life, Helga.
so yeah, it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of traveling, a lot of
Yeah.
just putting your face out there
Hmm.
and trying to make deals happen this way. I know, like after my first national, it was so much easier to make deals with American guys since
Mm-hmm.
people knew me in person by then.
Right.
And there's always the barrier of buying from Europe and
Hmm.
trying not to be ripped off and everything, which I can
Right.
understand. But like I said, if you're an honest person and you're just trying to be out there,
Hmm.
it just makes life so much easier. And made so many deals even after the national. But I know, like, if I wouldn't have gone to this first national, I would have never gotten the chance to make those kind of deals.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear. And I feel like you do an awesome job of like being proactive, building those relationships and networks so that that transaction becomes more, trust based and it's more seamless. But do you feel like there are downsides of being abroad in a sense, like maybe shipping costs or, you know, VAT,
Yeah,
customs, whatever it may be? Do
yeah.
you see those challenges in your daily transactions?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, in Germany, we pay 19% of every purchase we make outside of Europe on top of what's coming in. And in addition to that, it would be fine if it just passes through customs and
Hmm.
you have maybe like a 1 day delay. But it can happen that you have like a 2-3 weeks or 2-3 months delay because of customs, and it's also going out. It's the same situation, and then you have some impatient buyers
Yeah.
worldwide that they're like, "Hey, you said you shipped it, but it doesn't show anything," because tracking system for most shipping companies isn't as well handled.
Yeah.
So they are not scanning everything properly, maybe at times. So it doesn't even show if the item moved or not. But well, I know that I shipped it, and I did as soon as I could, and that is always distracting and always putting some pressure on the European side of the trade just to be trusted, because sometimes things, especially now with COVID and everything, just took forever at times, and you just have to ask people to be patient and
Patient, right?
just to rely on the word that I'm spreading out.
Yeah. No, that's like a huge difference, I think, because when I think about some of the folks in this area, I'm in Los Angeles,
Yeah,
they are able to purchase most of the cars that they want, in person over a weekend at a show.
yeah,
They're able to also unload or trade or sell cars that they have pretty easily. I mean, it's a matter of like how stingy are you going to be, how difficult are you going to be in the negotiation. But if
yeah,
I, for example, have, let's say, a stack of 10 cars that I want to get rid of, I can get rid of it today,
yeah,
without those challenges of like, hey, where's my package? Is it stuck at customs? How much is shipping? How much is insurance? So
yeah.
I can only imagine, as an international driver, those things are like, it's not pleasant experience in a sense.
Yeah, and the thing is, like in Germany, we established, like pre-COVID, we had 2 car shows per year,
Okay.
which was perfectly fine at the
Yeah.
time, because the hype wasn't as crazy as it is now. By now, we are up to like maybe 3 to 4 like bigger shows, and then there's always some smaller stuff
Oh, that's
going on.
awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, we're trying to get there, but it's not like the US, where you can just travel Friday through Sunday and you have like 3 shows in 3 states or stuff like that. So it would make my life so much easier as well. But
Hmm.
I mean, I'm trying to cover Europe and
Yeah.
put out some shows in the US that I know that there are people that I like and everything. So yeah, try
That's
to
really
get in
cool.
as many shows as possible, because I think like being at car shows, I mean, it's just the most fun experience in this
I
whole
know.
hobby.
I know. I remember the first time I met you in person was in some small show in Houston. I
Yeah,
I dropped in for a few hours because I was in town coincidentally, but I saw you there and I was like, "You're here from Germany?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, I went to Dallas Card Show and I decided to just stop by, and then I'm heading out tomorrow."
yeah,
Like, wow, like, I'm very happy that, post sort of like COVID quarantine restrictions and all of that have gone down, and there's more freedom in like travel for
absolutely.
international collectors like yourself. Um, Maybe another kind of question related to this is, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge of being a non-US based international collector today?
Honestly, getting products is really the toughest
Mhm.
challenge. Even like, I mean, I have a shop, I have a business license and everything, and even for me, it's really tough to get stuff.
Yeah.
It's starting to get better. I had some conversation with some companies and stuff, so we'll see how it goes.
Hmm.
But for a regular collector, just to be able to open a box, I mean, let's say you buy a box of Prism, whatever,
Hmm.
WWE, just because it's reasons, for
Yeah.
1K in the US. Before I have it in Germany, after customs, after shipping, it's like a $1,300 box before it gets to me in Germany.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, as a regular collector, it's really tough to pay those
Yeah.
kind of prices.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah. I mean, one thing that like I've heard from other parts of the world is, um, you're not even able to secure those boxes. Like, because, for example, if you wanted to buy, I guess eBay's more sort of worldwide, but if you wanted to buy something from a different platform, let's say MySlabs or another, other smaller platforms, they don't actually allow shipping to certain regions of the world. So they're like scrambling for an address basically in the U.S. to get shipped to.
Yeah.
They pay for that service, and then they pay for the service to get it shipped. And by the time you get it, you've already 2x the cost of cost basis, and you really have to question, is this really worth it at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, and that's why you see in Europe the tendency of it being more of a collector's hobby than an investment hobby, just because the price point to get into it is just too high to see it as an investment. And a lot of guys are still collecting from the 90s, like 90s basketball guys that most Americans haven't even heard of in like 20 years. And there's like diehard collections stuck here in Germany. And and they're not even graded or anything. It's just because at the time it was really just about collecting, I just have to have the card.
Yeah.
So it's really fun because, I mean, like I'm buying and selling collections as well. So I just picked up like 70,000 cards last week. And it's just, you never know what you're getting, but it's just fun to go through and get back to memory lane.
You're right. Like that is a very, very good point in that, when you're an international collector, because of the barriers and like the time sensitivity of some of these things, it's hard to be an investor / flipper of cards because you can't maximize, let's say, a $50 increase in a card and then actually materialize that. It's just too much time, too much, hurdles to go through. So you naturally do become collectors, or only collectors, remain in the space. So that's a really good point. Just maybe tangent question for you is, if there was like a vault, let's say somewhere in Germany or anywhere else in the EU, would that be something that people would leverage more so that they can kind of basically in-house a wider collection of cards in one spot, and you can do buy, sell, trade quickly within that vault space, maybe digitally or stuff like that?
I mean, I was actually talking to Check Out My Cards, I think probably even 10 years ago, about how awesome it would be to have like a headquarter for Europe as well. But of course, there's so many challenges with customs and everything. Like if they have to ship some of the cards that are based in the EU to the US or vice versa, it would just be a nightmare for them. So I can see that. I mean, and Check Out My Cards, for example, is used very frequently for a lot of Europeans because it's just so easy and you can be as quick as you need to be in today's market. But otherwise, I mean, the vault system would definitely be an option, but I think the challenges are just too high for the companies to consider that.
Yeah, and we all love having physical, asset in our hand too much, right? So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll see what that space looks like in the future, but I really feel like we have to crack this where we become a little bit more global hobby and industry, and make it more seamless and remove those barriers for international collectors to transact, buy, sell, trade more quicker, more easily, things like that.
I do see it getting there though, since like Dave and Adams announced that they are opening up a shop in Netherlands sometimes this year or next year.
Right.
So they are making the move, and I talked to GTS a couple of weeks ago. They are also opening up an office in Ireland. So there's the companies are making the move. It was basically only a matter of who is first and who allows the others to follow.
Right.
So now I hope it's just getting there rather sooner than later. But I think I know like PSA was discussing a European office. So they're all discussing it. So hopefully they get to the right conclusion at some point.
I hope so. I hope the world does become flatter in that sense in our hobby. Next question for you is, how big in estimate would you say is the collector's base in Germany? Is it 100,000 or is it 10,000?
It's a fun question that I'm debating myself most of the times, and I think I have a picture, and then I have some eBay sales, and I see people buying from my own city that I never even heard of before.
Wow.
So I would say, I mean, like a fair estimation would probably be somewhere between 2,000 to 5,000, I would guess, because there's like the first time that we have a really big space for a card show is in May at the
Nice.
Kaiserslautern soccer stadium.
Whoa,
So,
that's cool. Wow.
and
Are you
the guy
organizing it?
the guy who runs it already sold like 800 tickets in advance for the
Wow.
show, which is pretty big. Because usually, like, we never really sold tickets for shows like that. So everybody was always coming and going. So you never knew exactly how many people were there.
Gotcha.
And last time I organized the show last year was the first time, also because I had this question in my mind, like how many people are actually coming. So I sold tickets for that, and we've been at 250 at that time.
Wow.
So seeing those 800 tickets sold definitely gives me an estimation. I mean, that includes like all the TCGs and Pokemon and stuff as well. But I'd say like an easy 2,000 to 5,000 collectors.
Wow. That's actually pretty
For
large
80
if you
million
think about it.
people.
Yeah.
And
a lot more work to do on your part.
I'm getting there.
But that's exciting though that you're seeing that much growth, in like that short amount of spend. And that show sounds exciting in May.
Yeah.
Wow.
May 28th, Kaiserslautern Soccer Stadium.
Yeah.
It's technically sold out, but it won't hurt to be there for the weekend because there will be some events the night before and the night after for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And are you guys expecting folks from outside of Germany to visit as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was at the London card show at Tottenham Stadium 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so I know at least 5 people from London are coming that I talked to that day.
That's cool.
We've got some collectors from France, from Luxembourg, from
that's so cool.
Belgium, from Switzerland.
Yeah.
So basically all of Europe is going to be there.
Let me know next time there's a big show in the EU. I'm not even kidding. I think I want to make out to at least one a year or something. That sounds really cool. And make it as an excuse to go travel.
Yeah, I mean, you're more than welcome, you know that. And
yeah.
I mean, there's Nick Giuliano that you know as well.
Yeah.
And he's coming to the shows in Germany on a regular basis as well. So
that's so
and
cool.
he's always having a good time. I can guarantee you that.
Of course. I mean, beer in Germany, that's my dream. Oh my goodness. We're digressing here.
You can write it off as a business trip. So
I guess so. But yeah, I mean, switching gears a little bit, I wanted to get like sort of your feedback and your perspective on some of the big hobby players, mainly operating out of the US. So let's start with the auction houses first, which are kind of growing by the day. I think PWCC auction ended last night with their premier auction. What's the perception of these, like, whether like in aggregate, like auction houses, or like each individually, of like PWCC, Golden, now Alt, etc.? Like what's like the perception from an international collector's perspective?
Yeah, I think I mean, eBay obviously is still going to be like the number one in a lot of years to come. I don't see that changing too much. What Golden and PWCC have going for them is that they are having a lot of high-end items that you don't see as often. But on the other hand, like I said, in Germany, it's not as much as an investment market as it is a collector's market.
Right.
So like the higher end prices are usually not paid in or from Europeans or Germans, since I mean, the stuff that they need, they are already having since they're collecting since the 90s and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So Golden and PWCC definitely have some customers here as well that I know of, and not just me, but also other collectors that are buying off of them.
Yeah.
But
and I'm sure they are trying to get some of the cards out of the collectors' hands as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they have some people like in London trying to get the business from European collectors, which they will, because I mean, if you're collecting since the 90s and you see the prices that are happening the last couple of years, there's going to be a point where you feel
you
like
give in.
I'm not as much dedicated anymore.
Yeah. That is true. That is true. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the whole eBay space. I don't know, like, sort of the history of like where digitally, if eBay was the first place that you could purchase these trading cards. Maybe, probably. But there's
Probably yes.
obviously a lot of I think shortcomings of eBay that have been kind of coming up to surface. For example, buyers can win a bid, choose not to pay, and they can still kind of operate and purchase and go on with their lives. I think there's
Yeah.
not as much of a reprimand for bad behavior.
Yeah.
Of course, there's like returns. I sell things on eBay here and there, and then I do see a high frequency of like return requests.
Hmm.
So those things I hope either gets fine tuned on eBay's end, although having being in Silicon Valley and understanding eBay, culturally a little bit, and like having friends who work there, while trading cards is probably top 10 categories in terms of revenue sale, it is
Yeah.
definitely not their priority to like fine tune, uh, you know, that category and making sure that the customer experience is in line with like a collector's expectation. So it'll take time, but I wonder if they will figure it out first, tie the edges first, or if we will see more sort of like other avenues where collectors purchase cards as seamlessly as we do on eBay,
Yeah.
um, but with like proper, like ends tied up. Whether it's like if buyer refuses to pay, then they're sort of on a list or things like that. So I'm
Mm.
very curious to see what that space grows out to be.
Yeah. I mean, taking away the negative comment on the transaction on eBay was definitely a step into the wrong direction.
Yeah, yeah.
Because now you just have to be careful because everybody's. It looks like it's positive, but the comment
You
will
got to
be
read the
negative.
comments, right? Exactly.
So
Yeah,
and not a lot of people take the time to read everything. So
yeah.
you might miss out some of those. But yeah, it's definitely needed to have like some sort of a safe
Mm-hmm.
place. And I think that's why Check Out My Cards is also so popular,
Mm,
because it's so easy. You only have to worry one time about shipment, and that's
yeah,
the one that you send to Check Out My
every
Cards.
time. Yeah,
But after that, you're free to go, and you don't have to worry about buyers worrying about the card coming from Europe or not.
exactly. Yeah,
That doesn't matter anymore. So a
yeah.
place like that is definitely going to be very helpful.
I agree. I agree. Maybe one of the last two questions here. Do you? I know you mentioned like a lot of folks in Germany are more collectors and they keep their cards raw, but in those instances that you want to grade your card because you want to keep it in a slab, or if you feel like it could be a gem mint and could
Yeah.
potentially increase the value, how do you grade your cards currently?
I mean, I do offer like a grading submission service for
Oh,
PSA and BGS for 4 years now.
oh, nice.
So I have like a community, and compared to like the 2 to 5,000 people, like the community that I have for the grading submission is like around about 200 people.
That's
So just
awesome.
to give you a perspective, but it's definitely getting to the point where, especially when the prices were back like at $20 or so per
Yeah.
card, when you could still make some more profit off of smaller cards,
Hmm.
because it was so much easier for them to sell a card that is graded than it is raw.
Hmm.
So the people just sent me the cards basically to my home address. I get all the customs and paperwork done, and I'm registered at PSA as a
Oh,
trusted
gotcha.
member and
So
everything.
you literally ship it directly from Germany over to PSA.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or and like I said, with when I'm in Texas, I drop off stuff at Dallas
Tickets, yeah.
like on a regular basis, or do some walkthrough with my customers if they have
Hmm.
some ultra high end stuff and
Gotcha.
things like that. So definitely
Wow.
trying to make that work for PSA and BJS.
Hmm.
But in the last 3 years, there's also been like a boom of grading companies in Europe.
Oh,
I mean, there was a time where there was like a new grading company every month. At least it felt like it. you already didn't know which 3-letter combination was still available, because
A B C X Y Z.
everything was already gone. So there's a few that stand out. There's like 3-4 European grading companies
Interesting.
that are definitely holding up, especially in Europe, but also trying to get to the US market. But obviously for them, it doesn't make sense to send cards to Europe to get graded when you have PSA and BJS in your own country.
That is fascinating to hear. And you brought up a good point. Why are they all 3 letters? Why can't it just be like AB? I don't know.
Just that's the one person makes the step and everybody just follows through.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
New ideas, just picking up the old stuff and changing a little bit.
Not a big fan. No, I don't want to take up more time of your day. I know it's getting late there. Maybe to end our amazing session, I think I'm going to ask this to everyone. What is one card in your collection that you will never be able to trade or sell?
Yeah, it's really tough. I actually picked one that is not as expensive, because otherwise, like for expensive stuff, there's always going to be the point where somebody offers you so much money that you're like, okay, whatever, it doesn't matter anymore. So to me, it's actually a card that has a history, and I've never expected that to happen. So when I went to my second national, actually, I show you the card first.
Okay.
The card is, where it is.
It's an Olympics.
It's a Bodie Miller.
Bodie Miller, okay.
And
Autographed?
An in-person signed, Beckett authenticated autograph. So I talked to a lot of guys at my first national, and I told them that I like random stuff and weird stuff and Olympics. And when I came to my second national, one of my friends actually surprised me and gave me that Bodie Miller signed card, because he said he likes to get gifts to a lot of people, but it was so hard to find something for me because I collect so random stuff. So he picked up that card especially for me and gave it to me at my second national.
That is amazing. Did your friend get it signed from Bodie Miller?
No, he bought it signed and everything. He just wanted to be able to add something to my collection.
Yeah, no, that's so awesome.
And that's definitely something. It's value-wise, we are not talking about 5 figures or anything, but it's just the story behind it.
It's invaluable. It's valueless. It's priceless, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that's one thing that a lot of, new people coming in are missing is, obviously this hobby has become so big and a ton of people are coming in, and a lot of times it is transactional, but I also receive a lot of gifts. I try to do a lot of gifts and giveaways as well, because we're just having fun here. Like, what hobby in the world do you see that you're having fun and making money? Like that's not really like a reality for a lot of people. And so like, let's value fun as much as the money part as well. And, show appreciation, through things that are more meaningful than money, for example, like this card. So that's an awesome culture. And I'm so glad that you and your friend have that relationship.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I said, like card shows and meeting people in person is just so much better than just buying and selling online.
Yes.
And just flipping for money is just, it's a fun side effect, but I personally wouldn't do it for 30 years if it wouldn't be for the personal experience as well.
That makes a lot of sense. Helge, when are you going to be in the States again?
Well, it's definitely now. It's April. The national is for sure. I already rented a beach house for.
Oh my god!
Yeah, when we party right.
Yeah, I can tell. Yes, I think I've seen that. That's awesome. So maybe I'll see you in national.
I hope so.
At the latest.
Where can people? We're still missing out on a dinner that we missed in Vegas. So.
I know. Yeah, that would be awesome to catch up. Where can people find you if they want to, if they're in Germany and they want to know more about, your business, or if they're not in Germany but they still want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my Facebook, my eBay, and my Instagram is all the same. It's all fanartikelwelt.com.
I'll post that right here for you guys.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a long German word, how we like it. But that's my website. It's my online shop, my eBay shop, and also my Instagram account. yeah, it would be a pleasure to add more people to it and get more connected. And I'm gladly helping people out in any kind of way that is somewhat card related.
Yeah. Everyone, go check out Helge's Instagram page, Facebook page, his eBay page as well. He has an amazing wide collection, like he mentioned, a very diverse one as well. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Helge, for joining and being our first guest. We'll see you guys in the next one.
It was my pleasure.
Bye. That was awesome.